Here's a definition for deception. Now, it's not the only definition. This is just a definition, but I like to define deception as one person intending to mislead another. Detecting deception is really, the first step is noticing changes in that individual's behavior. We'll look for change, but rather than just right off the bat interpreting that change as being a function of deception, we're going to use that change to guide us with regard to our questioning and then ultimately allow us to articulate what we saw and what we heard. This will be our template as far as this concept of deception. So the first goal out of the bag, the first option for the deceptive individual is going to be deception by concealment, because concealment is easy to do because it is passive. See, as a deceiver, in order to deceive by concealment, all I have to do is nothing. All I have to do as a deceiver is take something that is and leave it out. It's easy to do because it's passive. And here's the thing that an interviewer has to get her or his head around. Anytime someone is deceiving you by concealment, everything that they are telling you is the truth. It's just not the whole truth. Now, the more difficult form of deception is falsifying, because falsifying is active. The individual has to do something, and what the individual has to do is lie. The individual has got to lie to us. Now, between concealment and falsifying, there is this path. There is this connection between that. This is known as the path or the road of distortion. And the deceiver has three options that they can employ to avoid going over into falsifying. And those three options are maximize, and with maximize, the individual will elaborate on a peripheral issue of the question rather than the essence of the question itself. The second option for the individual is to minimize, and in this case, the individual will respond minimally to the question in relationship to the amount of time that they spent with other questions. This is known as subjective time. But I'm going past these very quickly to get to this one, because next to concealment, deception by equivocation gets more experienced interviewers. Because with equivocation, the individual is endeavoring to control the interviewer's thought process so that they'll go major premise, minor premise, conclusion. Now, with equivocation, number one, equivocation is dialogic. What does that mean? Dialogic means that something can't come from nothing. There has to be an antecedent, a precursor. Equivocation will come from a question, and it will come when they are asked closed questions. Do, is, are, or did. So as an interviewer, we have to think, anytime I ask a closed question, it opens the door to equivocation. So I need to be in the moment, on the bubble, to make sure that this individual is answering my question. With equivocation, the answer doesn't relate to the question, and the fact that the answer doesn't relate to the question is intention. If their anxiety is simply attached to the interview, it's not attached to some Damocles sword that's over their head, it's simply attached to the interview, a skillful interviewer, by getting that individual to talk, can dissipate that anxiety and move forward. But see, and I know it's a little hard to see, but on that distortion path over in the lower left-hand corner, that zero, concealment, deception by concealment produces very little anxiety because the individual is telling the truth. And even on that path of distortion, those three components, maximize, minimize, and equivocate, very little anxiety, because the majority of the time when someone equivocates, the answer that they give you will be a truthful statement. It's just not the answer to your question. It's only when the individual is maneuvered over into falsifying does the anxiety begin to dramatically increase. Not because they feel badly about deceiving you, but because on some level they know that their vulnerability has been attacked.